Hello, everyone. It is episode 4 of Tickets with Tay. I want to just thank everyone for listening and giving the time. I look at all the analytics, and most of you guys are watching the whole podcast, which is fantastic. Today, we've got an amazing guest, Ben. So, thank you, Ben, for joining. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, man. Nice to meet you, Taylor. So, Ben, I've run the Only Fools and Horsemen Instagram account. It's a bit of a strange name. I don't know why I chose it, but I'm stuck with it now. So, yeah. So I just collect, mate. I collect all sorts. So, started off with cards. A lot of I enjoy football and wrestling mainly. So I stick to what I
Mhm.
know. Cards, wrestling programs, a lot of wrestling memorabilia. And then just recently, I'd say over the last 6 months, got into tickets. Absolutely love it. So
Yeah.
the rest of the collecting slowed down, and while I've focused on this, just
You
really
caught the
enjoyed it.
bug.
I have caught the bug, mate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. When did you begin collecting things? When did your journey really begin with all of this then?
All right. So I started collecting wrestling things. I'd say maybe it's 15, 20 years ago, before
Hmm.
any social media. Before any social media. So
Yeah.
I remember I think I had about £200, and I was quite young at the time. I thought I had a £200 Christmas budget. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to get. I didn't know what to get myself for Christmas, so I went on eBay and I just looked for some cool wrestling things that I
Yeah.
just like wanted to like, no real goal in mind. So I
Yeah.
came across a Hulk Hogan card which I got for £20, and that's probably worth maybe it's 1,500, 2,000 now.
Wow.
Early Hulk Hogan program. So I got a Hulk Hogan program for £20 from when he first used the name Hulk, that actual show.
Yeah.
The first time he ever used that name. £20
Jeez.
again. That's Golden wanted to take that off me and like put it in auction and things like that. And I'm just going to keep holding. But so, cut a long story short, started collecting before social media and everyone started posting their things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just purely collected because I liked collecting it, and people were putting these things up for eBay on eBay because I guess there was no way at that time to show these things off, so no one really knew the true value of them,
Yeah.
and I think that was the best way. Is like I don't think you can go wrong if you just collect what you love.
Yeah, it's the old,
So
it's the common phrase, isn't it? Collect what you love. And especially if you're
collect what you love.
investing. If you're not
Yeah,
investing, it's the best way to go because there's no risk because you end up with what you've got. But I wanted to trace back to
absolutely.
that £200 Christmas budget. That might be
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best Christmas you've ever had.
You can't like. There's no way I could strike that lucky again. But it
Uh-huh.
was I just love the fact that I got these things without any sort of I'm going to buy it and flip it and the value. I
Hmm.
was just on eBay and I just thought, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, I'll get
Yeah.
that. Didn't really have any concept of it, and it just turns out years later these things are now really collectible due to social media. And then I would say this time I stopped after that budget had gone and all that.
Yeah.
I was collecting here and there, but it really slowed down for a long, long time. Maybe
Hmm.
God, up until January this time last year
Yeah.
when I started collecting cards, and I got really into the vintage card market. I just
Yeah.
loved that, and I started going to local vintage card meets because they run them
Hmm.
every 2 months, and got to meet some really nice people. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it, finding out about the history of footballers, old footballers, what ones that played during the war but then served for the country. I just found all that really interesting.
Yeah.
So, and then I would say up until I did that for about 6 months, 7 months, and getting into ticketing, I got into ticketing from Fav, from Tickets and
Okay.
Slabs.
Yeah.
So it must have come up on my algorithm a ticket he posted, and I
Uh-huh.
think it was the Kurt Cobain's last concert. I think it
Okay.
was
Yeah.
that. I said, "Whoa, that is really cool!" Like, and it just came up on my algorithm. So I went on his page, saw all his amazing tickets, and I think he has like some links in his bio where it was I think one of them was a YouTube video he did like 3, 4 years ago,
Hmm.
and I watched that, and I thought what he said was really interesting, and I messaged Fav and I said, "Oh, like, have you got any tips for anyone wanting to get into tickets and whatnot?" And he gave me a proper reply. Like, in all fairness, he gave me a really good response and
Yeah.
gave us some tips. tips, advice. It wasn't just a 1 or 2 line fuck off sort of thing. It was
Yeah.
proper response. It's fair play to him, like, and so and he invited us into the Discord because I had no clue what Discord was.
When you
You
enter
think-
that Discord group, is a very it makes you almost competitive in terms of people are posting their collection, they're showing off their recent pickups. It almost wants you to get hunting again. And every time I
Yeah,
open up that Discord page, my like excitement just becomes to the max because I want to
yeah,
not compete in ways, but I want to feel that excitement that they're feeling when they find these new stuff. So it
yeah,
definitely takes the hobby to a new realm, and it kind of taps back into what you said at the beginning when you used to collect stuff with no social media. I kind of wanted
yeah.
to ask, what was it like buying and collecting when there was no way to kind of show it off or show your discoveries?
Well, I used to get it where me and my friends are big wrestling fans. So
Hmm.
I would get this stuff and I would just love having it. I would love having it. But there was no way to show it off still. Like, I mean, you would just put it away.
Hmm.
So you would have this stuff a bit like now, actually. I don't have my tickets out or cards out. You get
Yeah.
something through the post, you look at it for a little bit, and you probably just put it away. So it was a similar thing, really. But I was younger then. I didn't live with my wife or anything like that. So it was back then when your mates would come over quite often. You probably have that now, Taylor.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Although
So you'd show them this stuff.
I
And
wish I had kept my best stuff here, but they are, I guess, quite valuable assets, so I have to keep some
yeah,
away. But the ones that I do have here, I love showing off, and it's like
yeah,
we say in the Discord, it's a way to like it's a conversation starter. It's like
yeah.
a piece that you can show and tell a story with. So that's why I think
That's
these
it.
purchases are so cool.
Yeah, it's just something to show, like, show your mates, and like I got some tickets early on. I was like, my mates know nothing about collecting, right?
Yeah,
They don't know what a pop report. If I said pop report to them, they'd look like I was like a fucking alien or something. Like they have no clue what it
yeah,
is. So if I just show them a ticket in isolation, okay, say whatever, they won't care if that's got like a 300 pop report. They couldn't
yeah,
give a monkeys. Like
yeah.
they just think, oh well, that's a cool ticket because it is.
And it tells a great story, and it looks cool, and it looks amazing.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Only started even hearing about pop reports like I don't know this year sometime. I still don't really look at them that much.
I
Just
think
collect
if
what I
you're
like.
spending a lot, you need to just check that for an investment perspective
Oh
and
yeah,
understand.
if you spend yes, so I have done it for for certain things.
Yeah.
Absolutely have. Yeah, but if there's something I think is really cool and I would just like to have it, it
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily put me off that there's a high pop report. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
And I think we talk about it so much, and I don't want to bring it up, but it is that messy Porto one. It is the
Yeah.
ultimate conversation starter. It's
Mm.
affordable, and although the
Yes.
population's high, it doesn't really matter. It's a cool piece, and I'm sure none of
That's
your
right.
friends even care if you own it or 100 other people own it.
Nah. So I've got it. So I've got it here. I'll just pull it up. Like this was one of the first tickets I got, and I mentioned in our group that it's like a bit of a gateway into the hobby. So I
Yeah,
just looked for like the earliest Messi ticket I could find, and that was it. And it was a couple of £100 or whatever. I did one of those things where someone was selling it on eBay. Would you do a deal offline if it was a bit cheaper, sort of
yeah,
thing? You trust that person for no reason at all, and then it just comes through the post. And luckily, it
yeah,
was fine. So I got it at a good price. That showed me mates. It's like, whoa, this is like the first time Messi played for Barcelona first team. They didn't say, "Oh, is that his professional debut or anything?" They said,
yeah.
"Whoa, wow!" Like,
I think yeah, as you collect more and you become more within the
yeah,
community and you're in the Discord, you want to show off something that's never been seen before.
of
And it is
course,
that
yeah,
sense of
I
like
get that.
we are all sort of friends in many ways. We speak more
Yeah,
to each other than we do a lot of our actual friends. So it is a
yeah,
sense of
man.
like wanting to differentiate, and I think that's how ticket collecting has evolved so much over the past years. It went from just
Yeah,
encapsulating it to then getting a grade on it, and then now wanting to have a different variation and different seat numbers people are even talking about now. So people want to differentiate in different ways, and I think
I'm
that's kind
learning
of
more and more about it as I
yeah,
go, and I think that's really cool. And like, I'm learning all the time about all these. I love the Discord group, the ticket group, because I'm learning all about these variations, as you say,
mhm,
stubs, full tickets.
yeah,
Even something as simple as that. But yeah, so I do think, but the thing is with me, right? I enjoy seeing really good tickets and cool tickets. I just enjoy seeing it. It doesn't
mhm,
necessarily mean that I'm gonna go searching for them, but I
Yeah.
do love seeing them. Like, was it long on ticket? Was it Lucas who posted the full Champions League,
Yes, the
the
first
first
Champions
Champions
League
League?
game.
That's awesome. Like,
That's
I just
class.
love
Yeah.
seeing stuff like that.
Yeah.
You
That
know?
gives me the question then. Like, what are three tickets that you've seen that have been like really obscure and different and unique that have just really caught your eye across all genres and niches and stuff like that?
Obscure and unique. Well, I've okay, so I've listened to a few shows recently, and I listened to that Desert Island
Yep.
Tickets, and there was loads of different ones on there that I hadn't thought of. Like there was a Black Power Salute one.
Yep.
I've seen things like that. I would never have thought to even look at those sort of things.
Yeah.
Like, uh, I don't know. I'm just trying to think now. Oh,
Put you on the
the
spot
one
there.
you had that guest on last week, and he had the JFK Marilyn Monroe one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome too. Like, and it's stuff like I'm sticking to my lane, right? So I know what I don't want to make any expensive mistakes if I can help it.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I really enjoy hearing about those tickets and seeing them. And while I might not necessarily go and search them out myself,
Hmm.
I like seeing them. I think they're really cool.
Absolutely.
Pop pieces of history, aren't they?
Exactly. And I think although not every event throughout time has been ticketed, most are. So they are out there. And there's definitely interesting stories to be unveiled.
Yeah.
I think you as a new collector to the hobby is a valuable insight for everyone there because people can understand how new people might be thinking and different perspectives that people take. As someone that's new and you came in, like what are uh, three like lessons that you learned very quickly? You mentioned full versus sub. I'm sure there's some other things that you kind of picked up
Yeah.
on.
Oh, well, okay, do your research if you're going to spend a lot of money, because you've got to see what else is out there, and don't rush into things too quick. I think what it was a that's been mentioned on your show before, actually, hasn't it? Something will probably come up again. I have made that mistake before of thinking something's not going to come up again, and it has,
Yeah,
and cheaper and better and stuff like that. But you were right as well, Taylor, in what you said. Sometimes they don't come up again, and I have got a couple of tickets which I have never seen again.
yeah.
So
Do you
I'm
want to
really
show them
pleased.
off then? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. So this, I don't think many people are going to show this one off, but this is. Have you heard of Lewis Smiley?
I haven't. No, he's a
Oh, well,
Newcastle player.
he's a Newcastle player, and he's a 17-year-old, and he scored his first Newcastle goal against Fulham, 16th of December, and
Okay,
that came up straight after the game, like the next day, I think it was. And I've had a search on it since, and it's just never come up again. So I know tickets are getting rarer now,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
especially this season. Not many folks going to game will have physical tickets. So I don't know when that'll come up again. If it will, most people have probably had a digital ticket for that. But this is
yeah.
a
Well, there's
17-year-old, and
it is like
it's his
the
first.
hidden. Yeah, it's a great pickup, and you probably won't see one again. But it is like almost a hidden hot report of how many do people actually have that they haven't listed on eBay that they haven't sold. So we
Yeah,
don't really know. It is super
no,
super new. But I
yeah,
mean, I've been to games this season, and the ticket supply has been next to zero. So if you stand outside
really,
and beg people for their tickets, they're like, "E-ticket, sorry, it's on my phone." So the ticket supply is extremely low. So
yeah.
you might not never see that again. I'm sure if it
And
was
you're right.
potentially.
You're right though, because that was his first senior goal. So some people
Mhm.
that have those tickets might know that and just keep hold of them themselves, especially Newcastle
Mhm.
supporters. They might just keep hold of them for a long time.
Yeah, it's the thing with the Messi pro debut because it was such a random game, I think it was game week 7 or something, away at. It was just a random game. Like, why would you keep it? There's no reason to keep it. Messi
Was
didn't
that the
score.
Espanyol one?
Yeah, he came on for like
Yeah.
14, 15 minutes. Like, it's a really random game to play or even decide to keep. So
Yeah.
that's probably why the supply is low, and I don't presume the pop will be particularly high on that Newcastle ticket there.
I've got to say about that Messi Espanyol one.
Yeah,
I love that as well. I think that is amazing.
yeah,
Like, and the avenues people go to search out these tickets is incredible to me. Like I
Yeah,
love hearing the stories. And the people that have done that and sort out these tickets to get them, they deserve
yeah,
them because I wouldn't
absolutely,
do
absolutely.
that.
I mean, I've taken some really unique methods in the past, and they do come at a cost, which is obviously whether it be your time or some things
Yeah,
actually cost financial costs. But if you want something and you really put in the hours, I don't believe that
yeah,
you can't get it across a long enough
yeah,
period of time. Whether it's like putting physical ads out there, whether it's knocking on people's doors, whether it's bloody standing outside the stadium with a banner, whatever
yeah,
it may be, if you want something, I truly believe that if it was
yeah.
printed, you can get your hands on it.
And
What's
those
the
people
furthest
deserve
you've
the
gone?
what?
What's the furthest you've gone beyond digging into eBay?
I have tried mine. I've tried. I set up a Facebook account. I don't
Hmm.
have Facebook. I set up a
Yeah,
Facebook account and I joined this ticket group that you're in. I
yeah,
think you
yeah,
sent me
yeah.
messages when I first started. I and and they were just total dickheads. Like
That's a
it
very
was,
funny story, actually. I think that needs some context. I think you were
yeah,
reaching out for was it a Gaza Maradona ticket?
yeah. Gaza Maradona. I joined a Lazio group. I joined a Sevilla group. I posted in there. I did the because Five part of his first advice to me was don't stop at just eBay, like try more avenues, and he said that in
Uh-huh.
his YouTube video. So I did have that in mind. I thought, oh, I'm just going to do what Fav did, and then I'll find it. And
Yeah.
so I tried messaging, and then I got loads of abuse and stuff like that, and just saying, oh, you're a fake collector and all this sort of stuff. And someone said, bear in mind, I'd set up a Facebook profile specifically for this. I'd gone to the
Hmm.
effort to do it
Yeah.
and I didn't have a photo on, and people were saying don't trust people with no photo. So I put a photo on, and people said it was a fake account, like some generic stock internet image.
Well, compliments to you for that.
I can't win. Fake account. Don't trust him. So
Jesus.
yeah, and
I think I
then
was the only one sticking up for you in the comment section
you
as
were
well.
you were the only person. Yeah, you did. And you messaged us, and that was my first interaction with you. And then I bought a ticket off you, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I
I
didn't
because I
clock until a little bit longer that you were the same person.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everyone tries so hard to make like new people to join the hobby, and someone finally joins and shows a lot of interest and is delving into it, and then he just gets absolutely spammed with abuse. And I just thought,
Yeah.
what is going on here?
I was like, they said, oh, you just, hold on. I says, why are you starting off with that ticket or something? Like, and I thought, well, should I just start off with collecting shit tickets first and work my way up to good ones? Like, how does this work? Am I meant to start with the crap ones? I just thought of a good ticket that I might like.
Yeah,
So, but that takes us on to matchups. Like, I quite like matchups. So that Maradona and Gascoigne one, well, if I'd really stuck at it, I might have got somewhere. And someone did, to be fair, send us a picture of the ticket.
okay.
Whose friends had their friend had it. I said, would they sell it? And they said no. I didn't make an offer or anything like that. But that I just actually seeing the ticket, I thought that was. Do you know what I mean? I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I think you've definitely opened my eyes up to matchups because I own the Messi Ronaldo first matchup, which I think is extremely
You've got that.
historical. Yes.
Yeah,
But then
I
I'm
love
thinking
that.
now, like, there are definitely big matchups out there, and I spent
Yeah,
like half an hour the other day writing down the best players from different different
yeah,
athletes across different eras, and then any potential overlap, because obviously you got the R9 versus Neymar overlap, which I thought was really cool. And I thought to
yeah.
myself, there's got to be so many different other overlaps over time, whether it
It's got
be
to be.
Pele and Cruyff that might have had an overlap, whether it be João Felix, Cristiano Ronaldo. There are some really cool matchups,
Yeah,
and as
yeah.
time passes, it's so difficult to pick up a ticket for like a few quid now, whereas years ago it used to be easy. But they do exist if you think outside the box, and I think matchups is definitely something that represents that very nicely.
That's something you can. I think you could get quite cheap. So I got the R9 and Neymar matchup,
Yep,
and
very cool.
you can't really see it very well. But that was only €7, and it
Jesus,
wasn't listed. It wasn't listed as Ronaldo and Neymar.
of
It
course
was
not.
listed as Corinthians and Santos. So I just
Yeah,
googled the match and googled the teams, and they were there. And I was like, whoa! Like, I was gobsmacked actually because I did not realize there was that overlap between those
Hmm.
two players.
Was that the
And
only overlap game they had?
no, no,
Or-
I think they played. I think they played a couple of times. I think they played
Oh,
against each other a
interesting.
couple of times. Um, but this was the one where Ronaldo won the trophy with Corinthians, so I
Yeah,
quite like that. Plus, it was the only
definitely.
one for sale.
Yeah. Very interesting. Is there any other avenues you've kind of gone down other than matchups?
Uh, okay, so I do have some wrestling stuff, which I do
You
like.
know what? I think it'll be interesting to learn about wrestling because it's something that maybe a little bit more over in America, but over in the UK, we don't really tend to collect it or see it very
No,
often. So it'll be nice to
no.
see and
Well,
hear some stories.
yeah, man. I've got so this was SummerSlam '92 that happened in England. It was a massive event that happened and which WWF ran, and I bought the program for that. And actually, with wrestling, there was a good culture of when I used to buy programs, they would
Yeah,
actually staple the ticket or put the ticket in with the program. Wasn't even
yeah.
listed. So unbeknownst to me, I was like collecting tickets without even realizing it, I guess. And this SummerSlam one came with the program. I always thought that was really cool. But I got this early Hulk Hogan ticket. This is a
Hmm.
really early one, and it's from 1980. And this came up for auction not too long ago. And with a lot of the collectors being American, the listing ends at a stupid time in the morning. So it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like
Yeah.
that. And I had in my mind your encounter with the Ronaldo Pro debut. Where did
Yeah.
you stay up all night, or did you get set
Oh,
your
I know.
alarm or
I
something?
actually, I think I went out that night with some friends, and I got back at about 1, and
Mm.
I set my alarm again for 2:59. I was like, right, I might as well get a few hours sleep here. Set my alarm, one eye open. I'm trying to tap away at the screen and try buy it, and then I didn't even know how extended bidding worked. I'd never even bidded on Golden before,
No,
so
I
I'm
haven't.
just I'm waiting to the last minute, thinking I'm clever, about to slap on my bid, and then it goes like 5 seconds left, and it said, "Oh, you need to increase your limit." And then by the time I've, really gone to up the bid, it's over, and for some reason it didn't get bidded on.
Well,
Shout out to
that happened
Sergio.
just before. Or did someone hook you up with someone in the Discord hook you up with that?
Well, kind of. I put a message on Discord, and then it kind of just got blown over by people spamming about how much of a bargain that would have been, and how the market's up in the air and Ronaldo's down the drain. No one
Yeah.
really replied to me, so I put it on the Facebook group chat.
Saw
And
that.
Sergio is also on Facebook and saw it there, and then messaged me saying, "I think I know the seller. This is his account," because he posted a raw copy of it before he'd
Yeah.
graded it. And then I reached out to him, and he said, "Yeah, that's mine. This is my PSA vault. I can send it over to you." And then we just made a deal outside, and I was happy with it. He was happy, and it kind of went through. So got lucky on that. What
Yeah, that
about
is
this
an
Hulk
awesome.
Hogan though?
So
Tell us.
this Hulk Hogan, so that happened just before this Hulk Hoganist, and I had you in my mind there, and I was thinking, well, I'm not going to risk getting up at the last minute because I thought, what if my alarm doesn't go off? All these
Yeah,
intrusive thoughts are like, even though it's never not done that before, and my
yeah,
wife's pregnant, so I thought, if I'm getting up at 2 in the morning to
yeah.
buy a ticket off eBay, she'd go ballistic. She'd think I was a fucking idiot. Like, there's not, she would not be happy about that. So I thought I'm not gonna risk it. So what I did, and this is totally probably stupid, is I put a ridiculous high bid in. You know when you put
Yeah.
your max bid.
Well, if you're
I,
staying up till 2, 3 a.m., you want to make sure, best believe you're winning that whatever happens.
I was not staying up, right? I was going to bed at like 9 o'clock, and I put a stupid bid in. And what happened was, I thought I was being quite clever with that because I thought what happens is people wait at the last minute to bid, and they're not going to probably bid that much at the start. But what
Hmm.
happened was I went to bed and I couldn't sleep because I thought, what if it goes to that amount? I couldn't. I was lying in bed thinking, oh my god, what have I done? So anyway, I got up the next morning and I opened eBay and I was like, oh please God, don't be that stupid amount that I've put in. Like, and but luckily it wasn't. It's reasonably low. So I was
Yeah.
so relieved off that. So I ended up picking up this cool ticket. But with someone like Hulk Hogan, like I will be an aggressive buyer with him. Like I
Hmm.
just love him. So you know how people have like Messi or Ronaldo,
Yeah,
you know, he's my version of that.
got you.
So I just could not miss out on it. But if you say to the average person, that there's nothing much special about that ticket, it's just an early one. But I just got it because I wanted to have it, and I've collected a lot of Hulk Hogan stuff, and it's just something I wanted to have.
Is there many debuts out there for Hulk Hogan or not?
Wrestling's tough, man, because debuts are like you've got television debuts, you've got debuts for companies. If you
Yeah,
found a Hulk Hogan, this show, a lot of shows don't get recorded. Like
yeah.
they haven't. There's shows that might have happened in front of 20, 30 people for wrestlers, and there
Hmm.
won't be a listing for that. So
Got you.
debuts are incredibly like muddy water, and uh, it's 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 tough. So you just go for the earliest you can, or if you can get a debut with that company,
Yeah,
say
got you.
if there was like so the first time he appeared for WWE or something like that,
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. That sort of avenue.
it's tough. There's a guy on our Discord called Wrestle Stubs, and he's going mad with these collecting the debuts. So
You were probably
I,
worried that he was going to push up your bid when you went to bed.
yeah, because he's in America, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah. Partly, yeah, but he would have ended up spending a fortune as well in that case.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was worried for you at that time.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
it's a
definitely, I've
lesson.
had that before. I've had that numerous occasions where I've stayed up. And if I'm staying up till 3 a.m., I don't care. I'm not losing that bid, no matter what
No,
happens. And
no,
thankfully, I've never overpaid. But there's been times where I've been up, set my bid, and it ends up going for like half what I was willing to pay. Because the ticket
yeah.
market isn't, especially for soccer, is very small in America. So if you can get something on Golden, PWCC, or eBay in America, you're probably guaranteed to pay maybe 60% of what you could sell it for over here in the UK or in the European market.
Doing so.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, most of the pickups that I've made abroad in America for football have been far cheaper than over here.
Yeah,
An
it's
interesting
funny.
story.
Like, some people just put silly prices on these tickets, and
Hmm.
wrestling has been tough for that. I've found there's some people putting like $1,500 on for tickets that I wouldn't even think were that special. There's definitely some sort of what do you call it?
Manipulation.
Manipulation, but also there's one or two people having monopoly on it, and they
Got
just
you.
put these silly prices on, and in a way, it just puts you off like completely
It,
looking for
it
them.
does, and I've spoken about this on numerous occasions. It's annoying. It's frustrating as a new collector
Yeah.
that you think these are the prices. And I had someone
Yeah.
message me saying, "Yeah, but you know, best offer is on, so you can accept a best offer." Yes, it's true, but as a new collector, you just assume that that's the price when it actually isn't
Yeah.
anywhere
Oh yeah,
close.
and you assume they're selling for that,
Yeah,
but I see a lot of these tickets that stay online for ages and they just don't get
years. Yeah,
sold.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and I don't know how they're finding them, but it's tough because obviously these events happened in America, 99% of them.
Hmm.
So they're stuck in that American market, and
Yeah.
unless you do something silly like me and put a ridiculous bid in at auction, then it's really tough.
On the note of some like cool cheap pickups, then there have been
Mm.
some recently that I've found, and I'll say it now because I've got the ones that I wanted to get. But it was like first Chinese player to play in England, first Chinese player to play in the Premier League, first Chinese player to score in the Premier League, first Chinese player to get a goal. And then you look at different countries where collectibles are pretty big. So like Japan is huge for collectibles. So then you go first Japanese
Mhm.
player in the Premier League. And I've been picking up like debuts and first goals for like 3, 4, 5 quid with shipping. And the condition's perfect. There's been
Yeah.
no hassle. And it's like that fun excitement again because like you said about tickets being stuck in programs. I'm finding everyone that's got a program. I'm messaging, is the ticket inside it? Is it in the back or front pages? And it's fun and
Don't ask them
exciting again.
that.
No, because they're like worth a pound. They're like, oh, just keep it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
There's no sales data for anything like this. They're not actually worth anything really until the market develops. But these are what I find really fun at like 12 p.m. and like 12 at midnight, and I'm just scrolling through eBay, and that's a few things I
yeah.
like to pick up. And I it's
What have you
always
got
that.
then? So the Chinese players, is that what you're
I
searching
think
for in particular?
well, that was one avenue that I took the other night. Let me see. I think I've got them here somewhere. God, I've got them everywhere. Let me see. I think these are some of them. I haven't even like really looked at them since I picked them up. It's one of them ones, but this I think was maybe the first goal. I'm not sure if you can see pretty clearly, but this
Yeah.
was like
So
£3.
what year was
Uh,
that?
that was 2000, no, 1998, and then there was the first. This was another one. I can't even remember the guy's name. I just got excited by the first Chinese player in the UK. And then there was like first games that were televised, Chinese games that were televised, and they had like millions of fans. And it wasn't necessarily the ticket, but like millions of fans over in China watching, and like a few thousand in the UK. But like I said, these are extremely cheap pickups and pretty abundant on eBay. And I'm sure there's plenty more here. But yeah, these exist and they are affordable, they're fun, and I think for me it's an exciting avenue to take.
Definitely, yeah. I got
So
some.
don't
I
go
got some.
looking for them on eBay because I've cleaned them up. But
No,
I'm sure
you,
there'll be
you can
hundreds of
keep
others on
them.
eBay.
I got quite a few cheap tickets recently, actually. So again, that Lewis Miley, the Newcastle player,
Mhm.
he um he he made his debut for us May last year,
Mhm.
and I looked for that, and it was like the last game of the season against Chelsea,
Mhm.
and I looked for that on eBay, and I found one for like £4, so I got that,
Yeah.
and then I found this other seller. He was selling them for a couple of quid, so I bought that one, and then so I had two, and then
Yeah.
he put another one up,
That's
so I
all
bought
that
that
always
one.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he put another one up. And I thought, I've had enough of this now. I'm just going to message him.
Yeah.
So I says like, how many of these do you have? Like
Yeah.
these debuts? And he said 12. So I said, well, can I? Do you want to do a deal for all of them?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. You
I'm going
don't
to
want
pick up
other
all.
people holding the supply of them.
Well, I just thought like, yeah, there were only a few quid. So for the sake of it, I just thought, well, I might as well. And yeah, why not? I'm a Newcastle supporter. He's 17. You thought, yeah, he could be a really good player. He might not, but he could be. So I did a deal with him offline, and I picked them up pretty cheap. Cut long story short, I've got 15 of these tickets now.
You know what? You're lucky as well because a lot of the time they'll list it at £4 and it will sell quickly. Then they'll go £6, £8, £20, £30, and if they consistently sell, they're going
Absolutely.
to keep on upping. This is what happened with the World Cup 2022 tickets. They were like really cheap, like £5, and they would sell like that. And then the tickets went to 15, and then 30, and then 35, and then 40, and then they stabilised at about £45 for like the Iran England game, for example.
Well, I was lucky with this in the sense that I was emailing them offline because we did the deal offline. I was
Hmm.
emailing them and he asked why I wanted them, and I waited until he dispatched them before I replied. Oh, by the way, this is why. And I says, "How have you got so many of these tickets?" Like, and he says, "Oh, I know someone who works at Stamford Bridge, and he must just go around picking these tickets up that people have left or
Well,
something."
there's definitely a good connection to have if there's any other debuts made or any incredible goals that could be a Puskas award or anything like that or Champions League finals.
Good point.
It's good to
Yeah,
keep these connections, definitely. And that's
but
happened with me.
he said, sorry, Taylor. I've just finished the story.
No, please.
He said that he makes no profit off these at all. He was just selling them because he knew a mate at the stadium who wanted rid of them. Rid of them. So he said he was making no. This is what he said. He
Yeah.
said he was making no money off them. So it was only a few quid each.
Well, yeah,
So
£3. There's not any profit in there really at all, is there?
nah, when you pay fees and oh, I suppose it was offline, but yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Jesus,
what were
that's
you
it.
saying, Taylor?
Remind me, what was I talking about?
Iran? I don't know.
Yeah, the World Cup ones. That was an interesting one, the World Cup ones, because no one really knew what they would be. It was a really new event. The supply was seemingly very high. They seemed to kept their price pretty good, and I
Hmm.
think probably by the fact that it was in Qatar, not many tourists were out there. Yes, there was a lot, but it wasn't like a night out in Wembley where there's people everywhere. Do you know what I mean? That are keeping these things. The culture in Qatar wasn't very much like that, and it's quite an affluent event, I would say. So yeah, it was interesting to see how many people kept them, and then how many got listed on eBay. But there was a
Hmm.
guy, and I think his name was like Stooky. I'm not sure if he's a collector or anything, but he was getting them on the same day and listing them. And then like a week later, you get dispatch where he bought it back from Qatar to I think the UK or Germany, and he would ship them through. So very interesting to see.
So I've got to ask you a question here, right? Two
Please fire
seconds.
away.
But this is all them tickets, by the way. Would would these be classed as stubs or fulls?
um, Show me the end. Sorry, I'm not sure. It really depends on the
It does,
game.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Because some of them might have a stub either side, and some don't. So I won't actually know for this event unless I've seen a full online. It does
I
seem like
don't
a full
know.
to me, though.
I'll tell you why I'm asking is because the Jude Bellingham one.
Yes.
They look like that, but they're classed as a stub. But
So
yet
the
I
Jude
know there's
Bellingham has a stub either side. Yeah.
some do, like very few do. But who's to say that one doesn't, and we just haven't discovered it yet?
Well, that's the
Do you know what I'm
thing.
saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. That's where you need a historian, a researcher, someone that's got a keen
Mm.
eye on eBay to master the eye of everything. But you don't. I don't know. I'm not a grader at PSA by any
No.
means, but this is what I mean. PSA had a lot of problems for some period of time where they were saying something's a full when actually it was a stub because they didn't know what a full actually looks like. So I
Right.
mean, I've
Okay.
got the Jude Bellingham one, and it has actually got a stub either side on the full,
Yeah.
but mine's only got one on one side, and there was some confusion with regards to that.
Yeah. I just with that is just like yeah. So if I sent this in and they graded it as a full, and then one came up a couple of years later and it's got two sides,
Yeah,
then that's not. Do you know what I mean? But
I think
to me,
if you really cared, and I'm not sure how much you care, if you went to Stamford Bridge and asked them to look at the ticket stock, and you were able to see because they have it in like really thick stock like this, and you look at a full ticket and see how they rip it, then you understand.
one last thing on that though, Taylor.
Yeah,
If this ticket got issued to a fan as it is
yeah,
like that,
uh-huh.
is that not a full ticket? Because
It very,
they received it like that.
I
So
know, but if
that is their full ticket.
it's their full ticket, but yeah, it's a grey area.
I
But
need to take this up with PSA.
I think could the ticket potentially have had a variation that has a full variation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's a grey area, and that's why PSA have had a lot of struggles with that over the years.
yes. We
And
need
so, yeah,
Fav to
you
give
never
it.
know really, and this is why you have to go and search everything up on eBay because again, research very important thing in this industry. You have to check it every variation. Is it a Ticketmaster variation? Does it say in a different language that this is a press ticket? Does it say in a different language that this is only valid with another pass? There's so many things like this that people haven't even read their ticket. There's different tools now like Google Translate have it.
Yeah,
You can even use like ChatGPT and scan in a photo and ask it to translate, and it will tell you what it means. And people are realizing that what they thought was a an actual ticket is then kind of an invalid ticket, not valid for entry.
yeah. I'm
So
starting to
yeah,
learn
if you're
all these.
buying foreign tickets, it's interesting to look at that.
Yeah, and souvenir tickets and thing and stuff. I've come across some of
Absolutely.
those recently.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
2022 World Cup had a load of souvenir tickets. I mentioned in the
Mhm.
previous podcast that everyone that bought an e-ticket could then redeem after the event a physical ticket, and it even had the chip in it in the souvenir ticket. So it's literally identical. It has the chip that gets you into the stadium, but it's a souvenir. Potentially they
Yeah.
had excess stock which they didn't expect, and they thought, you know what, we can just get rid of this.
Hmm. Hmm.
Unlike the Porto rolls that we've seen and talked about, where they didn't decide to
Yeah.
sell that.
When you talked about the rules, were those Portal ones, were they?
Pardon
So
me?
who had them? So there
I
was a
don't know.
rule.
Yeah, so they were like I say, as it comes in stock, most of them are just piled up, but these ones are in a roll, and just massive rolls and rolls and rolls of them. Of course, they didn't have the seat numbers printed, or probably any text printed, but in terms
Yeah.
of the stock, it is considered a proof. And I don't know
Wow.
who had it, I don't know who bought it. I assume who bought it was someone that was trying to, chop them up, flip them, maybe twist the narrative and say that they were given access, list one high, sell it, and then probably try flip the rest. But I don't know what happened with them. But it was definitely not a good pickup. Definitely not a good pickup. What was your most
Yeah.
recent pickup then? What's one that you've bought recently that's
Really?
come?
I'm just looking at stuff. Recently. Oh man. Oh God. Right. So it was the most recent ones I got. I posted them in the Discord before. There'll be people on in that. So these tickets are meant to be Pele Pele Santos tickets, but from when we played in this Valencia Trofeo Naranja. So it
Hmm.
was this 3 day tournament, 3 game tournament held it by Valencia, which they still do to this day, but it's just one game now.
Hmm.
And the inaugural tournament was Santos were in it, Inter Milan were in it, and Valencia were in it. And these are the 3 tickets allegedly from that game. And to be fair, I do think they are because when I bought them from the collector, the
Uh-huh.
Spanish guy, he did give us quite a detailed answer on why research on why there were those tickets.
Yeah.
And I also thought there were €15 a ticket, and I thought it's
Uh-huh.
just worth the punt, just worth the go.
Yeah, it's not particularly expensive. Did he play in each? Because there was 3 games, wasn't there? And it had the number on and the end of each
Yeah,
sub. Did he
yeah.
play in each game?
Sorry,
Did he play in every single game in all three?
no, no. So there were, which one's the first one? I think this is the first one. So this was Valencia 4, Santos 4, and
Yeah.
Pele scored in that one. And this one is this one as well. This is the second one because you can just see a little bit of the two. If you see
If you've
a
seen the
full,
full one, it makes
yeah,
sense.
you would know.
Yeah.
And this was Valencia. This was Santos and Inter, and Pele
Mhm.
scored a good couple in there. No, I think he scored 4 in that. I think they won
Did he?
7-1. Yeah, but there's how you find how he said the reason he gave that it was the tickets is it was the first tournament, and every tournament after that they've held, it has 1, 2, and 3 on those tickets,
Hmm.
and there's a stamp on the back, and that stamp only appears in up until that year for Valencia tickets.
Wasn't it a sponsor of the tournament and they only sponsored that year?
Well, they sponsored these Valencia tickets, I think, because they're
Okay.
all Valencia tickets.
Yeah.
So it's not just the tournament, but only up until then.
Okay,
So
got
if you
you.
look at, there was no tournament the year after,
Yeah.
and the one after that had a different stamp on the back for
Very
that year.
interesting. Yeah.
But what I've found with Spanish collectors is they're very reluctant a lot of the time to tell you how they know these things,
Yeah.
and I've found that out quite
Probably because
hard.
I don't know why that would be actually. It's
But
interesting.
this guy did tell us. So
I think if this information ever comes out through like a press article on Santos's or Valencia's website as like a historian reporting on the inaugural tournament, and then they put in a ticket that they've got in their own museum or stock, that would then validate it for PSA to then go on and grade it. I think until then it'd be very difficult on PSA's behalf to
oh,
grade
I
it. But
totally get
I
them.
think I
Yeah.
think that's the possibility. If you put in the effort and the time and reach out to Valencia and maybe propose the information, I don't know. It's possible that they'll do a
Good
report on
idea.
it. Yeah, if you've got the time. I mean, you've only put in what €45 or pounds, but
Yeah.
potentially if it's a more expensive investment, that'd be something you could do. But yeah,
That's a really good
these are
idea,
the
actually.
things that you have to go into. Yeah, these are like the
Yeah.
avenues you have to take, and the clubs are often willing to verify this information for you as well.
It's a little project, isn't it? It keeps it interesting. It's just
Exactly.
yeah. It's just something pretty cool. It's like I actually bought for €15 the Marca newspaper for this tournament,
Okay.
and so it was when Pele. Oh no, sorry, this was not for this tournament. When Pele played Di Stefano as Real Madrid and Santos, so I
Yeah,
got
that's a
that
cool one.
ticket. I got that ticket. I
That's a
got 2 of
really
those.
cool one. I love this one.
So there's 2
This
of
is a
those,
really cool one.
and yeah. So this was when Real Madrid played Santos. Real Madrid scored 5, Santos 3. Di Stefano versus Pele, the only time they've played each other. But again, there's
Another
no
matchup.
date or matchup on it. But
Yeah.
so I bought the Marca newspaper for that game, thinking there might be
Yeah.
something in there. There wasn't. But
Yeah.
it's just like little things that you can do, and
Absolutely. I mean, if you bought a program and a program from the game before, and it said a photo of that saying,
Yeah,
win a ticket or as a giveaway for the next game, and it proves that that's the actual ticket. There's all these things you have to do. When I delved
yeah,
into last night, I was up until 1 a.m. Don't know what I was doing, but I was looking at Wimbledon tickets and understanding like different nuances of the tickets and what it granted access for. And the easiest way to go through it, because it isn't online, is through the programs. So then you've got to go through eBay, find a specific program, hope that they've posted a photo of a random page within that program that relates to the information you
yeah,
need.
yeah.
And then it's got to be dated at the right time. And then it's got to coincide with another article that you've seen to kind of verify that information. So it is definitely a challenge and it takes a lot of time. But if you can finally get lucky and prove something that you believe, it will all pay off.
Do you know what, Taylor? I think they are these tickets. I do. Because
I
these
yeah.
Spanish collectors, a couple of them have actually reached DM'd us and said that is that ticket. It is, but it's like they've spent untold hours researching this, and for whatever reason, a lot of them don't release their findings. But I do
Mhm.
think actually they probably are those things, those tickets, and but for whatever reason they're not going to say. And I do think it's like the search. So when I got that newspaper, I got a newspaper through from Spain. I'm sitting at my dining room table with my phone over it, taking pictures of it,
Yeah.
translating it. My wife's coming in. What the hell are you doing? Like,
Just think you're a newly found historian, a new job.
yes, yeah, Spanish newspapers on the table, reading through them, taking photos. But it's just
Jesus.
good fun, isn't it? And it's just what you do. And I think like it's just something you keep her busy in it, Taylor.
Yeah,
Keeps
absolutely.
it.
And when the research finally clicks and you prove your point or your argument or prove it wrong, it is a rewarding feeling. It definitely is.
Yeah.
And when
And
it
what have you
comes through
lost
and
at
you
the
get
end
it
of the day?
graded.
I haven't spent a lot of money on these things, and it's good fun. And hey, who knows? Someone might get one graded themselves, and then it opens the door, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Ticket collecting is still very new, especially for
Yeah,
soccer tickets. They haven't done it really for longer than 5 years. So that information and backlog of information and databases and research tools, this will soon improve. And I think definitely within the next, don't know how long you want to look into it, but 5, 10 years, I think it could be definitely proved at PSA. And as their
well,
team and staff develop and they hire these Spanish people, then there's another avenue.
maybe. But
Who
I'm in no
knows?
rush yet. I'm in no rush yet. Like I, I've got this stuff, and as I say, we've got a baby on the way and things like that. And who knows? I might pass this down to them. And
Absolutely.
if I can say this is an early ticket from Messi, Pele, whoever, that's a cool thing to have, regardless if
Definitely.
it's authorized by PSA or not.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And that's something that, I mean, I'm far from having kids yet, but it's something weirdly that I think about now is like, okay, yes, it's a lot of money. It's £500, £1,000, whatever it may be. But firstly, it's fantastic to own as a piece of art. Secondly,
Mm.
I just think the younger generation appreciate these things and invest in these assets more than, potentially a stock that they have no interest in at all. So
Yeah.
I think as a financial investment play in the future, the younger generation appreciate it. We appreciate it. We love telling the stories. You're not really going to tell a story about the S&P 500 that you made 7% on. Whereas a
Mm.
Messi ticket from his first game or a Pele Di Stefano ticket that has an actual story where you can coincide it with a newspaper. These are stories which can actually be told at the dinner table.
That's right.
But yeah, our generation are lacking storytelling completely. We sit on our
Yeah.
phones most of the time, so at the dinner table, these things are like really cool to bring up.
They're conversation starters. And I think, like, I said this to you in a message. It's like, you've got so many people working from home now. They're making home offices, games rooms, uh, garden rooms, all these
Yeah,
sort of things. A lot of people have an office in their home. And some of these things you can have on display. And when you have people over, they're conversation starters.
absolutely.
And more people are doing that.
Yeah, people
Uh,
start with a cheap print of bloody Batman behind their head, and then it evolves into an official one, and then it evolves into collecting, I don't know, whatever it may be, a Pokemon card that they have when they were a kid, and then they're in the PSA loop, and then they go buy a sports card from their favorite player, and then, these things happen. And I think we've all found ourselves probably down a similar avenue, and the younger generation are only going to follow suit.
yeah. I think so. It's just something physical to have as well, isn't it?
Yeah, when you can touch it and feel it. I mean, I've had PSA submissions that I've had in America, and you can store it in their vault or ship it back to you and pay hundreds of quid in shipping and import fees and whatever else. But there's something inside of me that I just want to be able to touch it. Do you know what I mean? You want to feel it. It's not a digital asset, which it
You don't
would
know
be
what's
if it
going
was
to
physical.
happen. You don't know what's going to happen with. I'd rather have that myself than trust a company. Something could happen over there, and they could go missing or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I
arguably, I
don't
would say it's more safe. But for me, it's just the
know.
ability to like hold it, get the value out of it. The value is
Yeah.
holding it and seeing it and telling the story. And that's a shame where they kind of have some of them have become so expensive that you can't really do that. But there's still loads of
Mm.
other cheap ones like those Chinese ones, which I'm able to show and display to friends that come over, and it's a really cool story to tell.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, definitely. Like, there's another one I'll show you. When you mentioned the Ronaldo Messi one,
Hmm.
I think this. So I got the full for that, and this is a front
No
row.
way.
This is a front row seat to the first Ronaldo and Messi matchup,
And this is the
and
full, isn't it?
yeah, this the
What
full.
grade's this?
It's a two, and it's got a mark on the back. It's just got a little bit of pencil, which I'm not even bothered about. Just a little
No,
bit of
that's
pencil.
really, really good.
I'm not bothered about that. But what I love is the fact that this is a front row seat to the
Yeah.
two of the greatest players in our generation, well, that have ever lived as well. And I just think what a conversation starter that is, you know? And I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I just love it.
I
Absolutely
think
love
when
it.
you find out that it's a front row or a ringside or a whatever it may be, a box ticket, it does add another dynamic. And I know someone on the Discord said, "Oh, my seat number is 007, and that relates to Cristiano Ronaldo's number 7." Did you see that message? I think
No,
yes. I
I
think
didn't
that's a
say that.
stretch if you're trying to sell it for another
What's mine?
20% premium.
Mine's number 10. Does that mean Messi?
Maybe there you go.
There you
It's
go.
worth double the price now.
Get in. What a win.
I mean, I don't think it should change the financial value in any way. But again, it's another differentiation. It's a different conversation starter, and it's cool to talk about. And that's I think
Yeah.
as ticket collecting evolves and there becomes more population, which it will be. Most of this stuff won't be pop one forever.
No,
I think it's a cool way to differentiate.
definitely.
That
Yeah,
matchup's really cool though. I love that because I've got a PSA 3 full, but mine's a Ticketmaster version.
what matchups have you got? You bought a matchup, haven't you?
I've got the what's his name? I've got the Diego Maradona and this left my mind. What's his name?
Socrates.
Socrates. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one.
that's
That
awesome, man.
matchup. That's a really cool one. I've
I
got
was
the
proper
Messi.
jealous of that.
Yeah, it was a cool pickup. Um, I've got a few. I'll have to look in the collection sometime, but it's something I'm looking to grow into.
I
But
really
I
like
really
it.
think they're cool.
I think it
Whether
looks
it's an
cool.
overlap or passing of a torch, or whether it's
Yes.
a whatever it may be. I've got the Alcaraz versus Djokovic Wimbledon final, which is
Mhm.
their first final matchup, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, so matchups are definitely underrated in my opinion, and they're out
I
there.
totally agree. They look cool on a slab as well.
Hmm.
Like, I think you've got those two legends pitted against each other. You've put that on there, and that is
Hmm.
like something someone can tell that at a glance. Whoa, those two head to head. And I
Yeah,
think especially in maybe it's American culture as well. I think they're big on that sort of thing. And
I'm not too
I think
sure, but
I think it's an avenue where it's just like it's probably a little bit untapped at the minute.
absolutely. And you know what caught my eye? It was when I used to collect sports cards, and I think it's the 2014 Prism, and it's like half Messi, half Ronaldo. And I saw that, I was like, I need that. And then I
Yeah.
thought, you know what, the ticket version of that's even cooler, so I need that. And then there was also the Ballon d'Or photo of Messi and Ronaldo together. I think Tops Now did one, and it's only like pop. Or the supply was only like 150 or something. And I think
Hmm.
these dual cards are really really cool. And when you put it into tickets as a first matchup, I think that's
Yeah.
also equally as cool, if not cooler.
Yeah, yeah. Does get you thinking of like legendary players and if they played each other. And the
I've got
research
a
part,
long list. You know what? Let me
let me
release
hear
the
it.
list now. Let me release the list.
Go
Not
on.
all of them actually played together. I was going through the research, and not all of them are ticketed. But there's a cool list here, and I'll release it here firsthand. So there was Pele,
An
Johan Cruyff,
exclusive.
George Best Eusebio, Frank Beckenbauer versus Platini. There's Bobby Charlton versus Rossi. Zico versus Baggio. Maradona versus Socrates. Van Basten versus Romario. R9 versus Zidane. Rivaldo versus Dennis Bergkamp. Luis Figo versus Beckham. Oliver Kahn versus Peter Schmeichel. Ronaldinho versus Henri. Pirlo versus Gerrard. Kaká versus Rooney. Messi versus Ronaldo. Xavi versus Lampard. Buffon versus Casillas. Eto'o versus Drogba. Ramos versus Puyol. Iniesta versus Scholes. Neymar versus Bale. Lahm versus Alves. Alonso versus Ballack. Lewandowski versus Suarez. Hazard versus Robin. Modric versus Kroos. Aguero versus Van Persie. Neuer versus Courtois, and then Mbappe versus Haaland. So there was a
That's
long list which I curated of
that is
some
some list,
real
man.
legends.
I've got one to add to that. Lewis
Go
Smiley versus Mbappe.
on. Do you have
I was
that?
looking at that ticket. No, I was looking at it. It was when we played PSG, and
Yes.
a couple came up for auction. I thought, no, I'm just getting too Lewis Smiley stupid here. I can't.
Yeah.
I've got to draw the line somewhere on this kid. Otherwise,
I
it's
think
just getting
that ticket will have like an underlying value regardless of. You're
probably.
probably the
I
only
wasn't that
person that's collecting it for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I live. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say I live right next to the training ground, so I could get signed. But I'm not going to be one of them people that do that. Absolutely not. No.
I live not too far from Chelsea training ground, and I see it all the time. Like groups of people, often like
No way
tourists
I'm
and
doing it.
Asians, and they're outside begging, "Please sign it, please."
Well,
And
is it
it's
quite big there? Is it? Are people doing that?
yeah, 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 big time, big time. I think the training ground have kind of like caught onto it though, and they limit it. It's on a main
Mm.
road, so it's quite dangerous. So yeah, they've got to be cautious of those things. I think they
Yeah.
advise the players not to do signings, but a lot of them
Okay.
just yeah, they want to.
Well, it's pretty cool, especially I think for a young player. They're probably buzzing to sign it. But
Yeah.
I've got to draw that. There's no way I'm doing that. I'm not doing that. No. If
You'd
I get,
rather pay
I'll,
£150 and send it in for a signing.
yeah. Once my kid's born, I'll take it along and then pretend that the kid's getting it. Yeah.
I mentioned it in another. Did I mention it in another podcast? Anyway, I'll tell it here. I had some Messi tickets which I wanted to get signed, and I was googling everywhere on Reddit and YouTube videos and forums and articles, and it was like the best way to get Messi to sign your stuff. There was one in 2018, and the guy said, if you go to this specific stadium at this specific time, and you go with a camera, press the traffic lights, so his car has to stop, and then you go with your camera, and then have a little kid in front of you, and go to the car, then he will almost certainly sign your item.
And was
And I
that
was like,
true? No
well,
way.
apparently, if we've got a kid, he's more likely to sign. If we've got a camera, I guess for press reasons, he feels like he has to sign. He'll be
Yeah,
seen as rude or whatever if he doesn't sign.
that's
And then if you
true.
press the red button, then his car has to stop. So
I would
that's
rather
what.
pay the five
Obviously,
and
I'm
a
not
half
going to do
grand.
that. I'd rather pay the 5.5 grand. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I can't, man. I've seen kids chasing after cars and all sorts here.
yeah, it gets
Chasing
crazy.
when the lights go on red, and then the kids are just chasing up the road and putting
Hmm.
little things in front of Sven Botman's uh, G-Wagon and all that.
We are seeing more and more tickets now get graded than ever. It used to be just like Chelsea shirt or a program, but tickets are now getting signed, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't really know how big the market is at the minute for this sort of stuff. Like, I mean, you'll probably know better than me on signings and things, but I
Hmm.
wouldn't know what the percentage of tickets were to cards or shirts or anything like that. I really
Yeah,
have
I
no
think
idea.
signed tickets hold the biggest premium to any other signed memorabilia from my research. If you have a shirt, it doesn't add too much value. If you have a
Mm.
card, most of them are signed anyway, it doesn't add that much value. Whereas you look at the Messi World Cup debut, which just ended on Golden Auctions, it went for 6.6K. Now that ticket alone is probably worth $200. So that's a
Mm.
massive premium on that. Whereas you can pick up
Yeah.
a signed on card tops card for probably a few thousand. So it's a massive premium for tickets, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
interesting.
I think being up in Newcastle, if you search like Newcastle signatures and stuff, nearly all
Hmm.
of them are on shirts. Nearly
Yeah,
all of them are. And when the players do signings, they're signing shirts, a lot of them.
Yes,
So I
stacks of
don't know
them.
if this is a culture that's going to creep up north because we're probably the last to catch on to this sort of stuff. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see over the next few years how it goes.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. I mean, we've hit the hour mark now, and I
Yeah.
am noticing my phone's gonna die. We could probably
Okay.
talk forever. It was an amazing conversation.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
we definitely have to resume, and we always send messages on WhatsApp or
Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram. But yeah, it was good to speak. A very interesting insight. So I appreciate your time. Do you want to tell
Yeah. No.
everyone your socials and they can follow you and keep up with some of your new matchup pickups?
Yeah. Yeah. I need to update more than I do. I don't post that much. But yeah, my socials, Instagram, Only Fools and Horsemen. Again, don't ask us about the name, but Only Fools and Horsemen on Instagram. And yeah, guys, I'll just see you on there. But it was great. It was great talking to you, Taylor. I think you're a cracking lad. And I'm gonna have to say this little story. When I bought a ticket off you
Yeah,
early on, which was, I've got to say, the Ronaldo pre-season debut for Sporting.
yeah,
That's
lovely ticket.
one of his earliest tickets. Again, I just think that is fantastic, man. That is
It's a
just
very
awesome.
cool ticket.
But you were spot on with us, and I had no history with you or whatsoever, and it put my faith in buying something off you, and you came up trumps, and thanks very much.
You're most welcome. I gave you a cheeky little gift as well on top of
You
that.
did, yeah,
There
yeah.
is
Do
an
you want us to
interesting
say?
story. I bought a ticket the other day for a large amount. It was in the thousands. And the guy sent it to me before I even paid. And I was like, what are you doing? I mean, I'm an
What?
honest guy and eventually paid, but it was worth, yeah, in the thousands of pounds. He
You
shipped it
kidding?
to my address. I received it and I had it in my hand. And I hadn't even sent him the money. And I was like, and I texted him after. I said, thank you for trusting me. Don't ever trust anyone the same way you've trusted me because I'm a nice person, but most people out there would have taken that and ran. And he was from a different country, so he would have, in theory, never been able to track me down.
That is crazy, man. There's no way I'm that lucky.
No,
Never.
I mean,
So I
I
just,
would do the same. The world would be a better place if everyone was honest, wouldn't it? So
yeah, but thanks very much, Taylor. You've been spot on with me since I joined the
appreciate
Ticket
that,
End
Ben.
community. Yeah,
Thank you so
and
much for your
thanks so much.
time. We'll message
Yeah, no
on.
worries, man. All right, see you soon.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.